Did you know that 50% of the people who apply for jobs in Europe never even make it past the visa requirements? Or even worse, some move without even a plan and then they end up burning through their savings in a few months. Let's make sure that you are not that person that I'm talking about. Top of the morning, everyone. My name is Tshidi and I'm back with a brand new video. Today I'm breaking down everything you need to know if you're trying to move to Switzerland or anywhere else in Europe for that work or for that opportunity. Whether you're in Kenya or in South Africa thinking about a new life abroad, or you're already in Europe and looking to relocate to another country, this video is just a complete game plan for you that you might be able to use. So stay tuned because later I will even reveal a few favorite job search sites that I think would actually work for most people. Let's start with the planning phase, the part that most people actually skip. Before you even apply, here's what you actually need to get clear. One of the things that I always ask people is, why do you want to move? Are you looking for a better salary? Is it a quality of life thing? Is it a career growth? Or you just actually are curious? It's very, very important that you actually know what your why is. Why do you want to move to this particular country? The second thing that you need to think about is which countries align with your skills, your language and abilities. And most people actually forget this part because then they struggle to integrate in that particular country. So the skills, the languages, all that information you can find online. For example, in Germany, engineering and tech. Switzerland, we're talking about pharma, finance, or there's a whole bunch of other roles that you can look at. The UK, we also have finance and a few other roles that you could look at. The third thing you should also think about is, do you actually have the skills that are in demand in that particular country? Once again, Google is your best friend. You can actually go online and look for shortage occupation lists. Most of these countries normally have a list of roles that they think are in demand in that particular location because they don't have the manpower to fill those roles. Please also remember, Google is, once again, your best friend. This also applies to Canada if you're looking at Canadian roles, if you're looking at Australia, New Zealand, and any other country. If you go on Google, you'll actually get a lot of the answers that you might be looking for. Once you're actually clear on your why and your direction, the next question that you need to know is, how do you actually get the legal approval to work in that particular country and live there? Now, let's break down the main visa options. The first one that a lot of people actually apply for is just the work visa or the skilled worker visa. Offered if you actually have a job and the qualifications. This applies globally, whether you're in the UK, you're in Canada, you're in Switzerland, Germany, New Zealand, wherever you might be looking at these. That's the visa that most people normally get. The second one is the job seeker visa, which is normally in a few different countries, especially in Germany or Austria. It lets you actually go into that country without a job to search for one, so that you already have an address there and you can actually search for this job. This is usually very specific to certain skills. And remember, once again, to find this, Google is your best friend. The third one is the blue card, or the blue card for the EU. Like a golden ticket for highly skilled professionals, it offers, a faster residency and especially mobility across Europe. Please note that this does not apply to Switzerland because, as some of you guys might know, Switzerland is not part of the EU. It just participates in the free movement of EU citizens and EFTA. Now, if you already are in Europe, you may actually qualify for what they call intra-EU mobility or EFTA mobility program, especially if you already have a permanent residence or you are a citizen of one of these EU countries. So you can be able to move between different countries. If you're a citizen of the Netherlands, for example, you could move to Germany, or you could move to France to actually look for different opportunities. Now, if you are not, look at the national visas or sponsored roles in that particular target country. The easiest way to do is to actually search for these type of roles that actually require these type of skills or visas. One of the biggest tips that I always share with a lot of people is that always check the official government sites for the requirements, because they do normally change quite regularly. You can also use Schengen visa info.com. It's easy. You can just go there and it gives you a lot of information about the Schengen region. It also tells you which countries are part of the Schengen. Remember, each country normally has its own immigration website that keeps on updating different requirements. Okay, now that you've actually done the paperwork, the next most important thing that we need to actually look at is the finding of that particular job. Remember, I mentioned already that I'll give you some of the websites that I think work. Now let's talk about finding the job. Let's be honest, almost everybody that we actually are talking to probably has gone to this video through LinkedIn, or you've searched it on YouTube. So one of the easiest platforms that you can actually find jobs is hands down the most powerful, which is LinkedIn. It has a lot of roles that are available, and most of them you can also see when they start mentioning whether they are remote or they would actually do visa support. So you can also search for those on LinkedIn, it'll normally give you roles that are looking for that. Try and optimize your profile with location keywords. So try and look at the specific keywords that actually do work in those locations. You will definitely always win. There's another website called it's EURES. So it's the official EU job portal. So that's where most of the roles that you can find from the different EU countries, you can find those jobs there. The other thing that a lot of people normally use here, which is very different to what we have in South Africa, is Glassdoor. Not a lot of companies use Glassdoor in South Africa as well as Indeed. We also have, for example, jobs.ch or zurichjobs.ch for Switzerland. Stepstone is also one of those websites that has quite a lot of different jobs, and sometimes they're very specific. And Stepstone normally has also very specific countries. You'll have Stepstone for Germany, you'll have Stepstone for France, and all these other different things. And then you've got JobUp. There's also Michael Page, which has got quite a lot of roles. And Michael Page is also a recruitment agency. So if you might be considering looking for some of these, that's one of those companies that you could actually look at from European side of things. There are also, however, some hidden gems that might also be very, very important for you to actually check out. For example, some of you guys can visit relocate.me. It's one of the great websites that you can check out. Lending.jobs, which is mostly for tech. There's another one called Welcome to the Jungle, which is based in France. So if you're one of those people that actually speaks French, you'll find that a lot of the roles that are there are mostly French roles where they're looking for people that can actually speak French. The other part that I think you guys should also think about is if you're actually really looking for these opportunities, email recruiters directly with a very personalized message that is targeted to what you're looking for. But please make sure that the recruiter is in the field that you're looking for, because in most cases, you'll find that recruiters get messages where somebody's asking you about banking, but they might not have even checked that you are in the pharmaceutical space, or they're asking about pharma when you actually might be in tech. So please just make sure that from a candidate point of view, you're just a bit more careful. You look at what the recruiter is doing, and you can send them these very personalized messages when you actually request the connection. Also use LinkedIn to join different groups like Africans in Europe or experts in Zurich. Now you'll find that in some cases, some of these experts are also looking for other experts, and they can connect you with opportunities that are for English speakers. There's a part that a lot of people actually tend to ignore, even though they actually want to move, and it costs them big time, which is financial planning. Financial planning is one of the key things that you need to think about before you move to any other country. Before you even pack those bags to actually move over, even if you've already received a job, there's a few things that you need to do before you start even applying. For example, save at least 3 to 6 months living expenses. The reason why this is very important is because for those first 3 to 6 months, sometimes you either might have gotten a job seeker's visa and you still don't have a job yet. So that means you need to rely a lot more on that. The second reason why you also need to make sure that you at least have 3 to 6 months is because you'll find that in some cases, some houses will always need a deposit for 3 months minimum. So be very careful that you've got that. And then account for things like visa fees that you might have to do, where you might have to register in the canton or the location that you might be looking at. Account for things like flights, housing deposits, like I said, usually for about 3 months. And try and set up a budgeting app, or one of the easiest things that you can also do is ChatGPT. It can always answer most of some of these things. If you have a budget where you say to it, planning on moving to this country, help me put together a budget, and ChatGPT will normally put together a very beautiful budget that you can at least plan around. Now, what's also very important for you guys to do, even though you're planning all these things, is check if your employer offers relocation support or any housing allowance. Now, some companies, a lot of companies will normally do exactly that. The best part is when you actually have that company that will also do your visa. In most cases, they'll pay another visa company to do all the work for you to get that visa requirements, which means a lot of the stuff that you need, you just provide to the company, they'll do the rest. So you've now landed the job, you've sorted your finances. Now let's talk about settling in and just making it work specifically for you. To really make the best move successful for you is that you need to learn the basics of the language. If there is a language that you need to worry about, make sure that you actually learn the basics. Even for some of the roles that are actually English speaking, just try and learn the language, because then you'll easily integrate. Number 2 is join local expert communities for support and networking. In most cases, they're there to actually help you with all the other things and ways of integrating. And then use apps like Meetup or Internations, or even just Facebook groups if you're still on Facebook, to just make friends a lot faster. And then lastly, get your paperwork in order as quickly as possible, like things like health insurance, tax ID, housing registration. Some of these are extremely important because it's illegal to not have them in that particular country. Now that you've actually done that, let's try and look at a recap. Number one is plan ahead. Know your goal and the target country because that is extremely important. Number two, check the visa options. Blue card, job seekers, inter-EU, whatever visa that you might be looking at, please make sure that you can at least meet the requirements for that particular visa. Number three, guys, job search. LinkedIn is a powerful tool. Niche job boards that are sometimes very country specific, use those because they'll also help you a lot. And also try and do direct outreach to the recruiters that are in the field that you're actually looking for. And then number four, guys, budget wisely. Save, plan for costs, ask about relocation benefits if you already have a company that's trying to bring you into that particular country. So try and ask for these things. And then the last part is try and integrate fully, try and learn the language, get the paperwork, the community long-term benefits. Some of us are still trying to learn German as I speak. It's one of those languages that one day I'll speak very fluently because I'd like to fully integrate. I challenge you guys to actually take one step today, whether that's just updating your LinkedIn, researching visa options, just use Google because that's how your big move is actually going to begin. And if you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. For anybody that have been asking questions about how do I move to Switzerland or how do I move to Europe, hope this video is able to help you figure these things out. Until we meet again, peace.